All right, here we are with Jesse Pollak, the creator of the Base Layer 2 chain. And it's been a really interesting past 24 hours. So, really excited to have you, Jesse, on the Defiant. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Okay, so very brief background. Yesterday, Base launched I believe it was two tokens on Zora. The main one that everyone's paying attention to is a token that's called Bases for Everyone. And, the Base official Twitter account promoted it or tweeted about it. Many people jumped to buy it thinking it was maybe the official Base coin or whatever they were speculating on it. And then as crypto does, the thing spiked and then crashed, and a lot of people were upset. And then, Jesse, you had some really interesting thoughts on the difference between content coins and meme coins and how all content will and should be on chain. So would love to unpack all of that in the time that we have, if possible. Let's just start with why you decided to launch these coins on Zora.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it all starts with a fundamental belief, which is that we think that the creator economy right now is broken. Like, that's the starting point, is that if you look at the internet of the last 20 years, creators have been the ones who have been powering it. They're the ones creating content on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, and yet they're not being well served by it. 90% of the profits are going to large corporations. Creators are oftentimes powerless to the platforms that they're operating on. They have no ability to leave if they want to, and they're not making enough money. And there's hundreds of millions of creators all around the world who actually depend on their creativity that they're bringing online to make money. And so they're being underserved today. That's the starting point. And over the last 2 years, since the founding of Base, we have been trying to figure out, okay, how do we use this new on-chain platform to build better tools for creators? You might remember when Base launched, we did the introducing Base NFT, which was at the time the largest NFT that had ever been collected. It was also on Zora. That was back when Zora was doing NFTs. And since then, we've been experimenting. And Zora's also been experimenting. The whole space has been experimenting. And most recently, through a bunch of conversations and iterations, what we've come to is that one of the really powerful economic primitives that we have is coins. And historically, they've been used for a different bunch of things, but they're fundamentally a technology. And that technology is a really powerful way of letting the market discover what is the value of something. And so about 6 weeks ago, Zora upgraded their platform. They'd previously gone from one of ones to open editions. Then they went from open editions to coins. And what happens on Zora now is when you post a piece of content onto the social network of Zora, it instantly gets tokenized into a coin, and then anyone can buy it. And what that allows, it allows the market to figure out what's the value of that content. And the creator gets 1% of the content, and then they also earn on the fees from the activity. And so as there's more attention, they earn more money. And during the last 6 weeks, I've been using this a ton. I've uploaded a ton of pieces of content to Zora because I always like to be at the cutting edge, at the forefront of figuring out how do these tools actually work for creators. And my experience as a creator has been, there's been a lot of stigma, right? And the place where that stigma comes from is I think people have gotten attached to a notion of what coins are that's different than just the technology. They've kind of mapped it culturally. Oh, a coin must be this specific thing, instead of saying, oh no, this is a piece of technology that can be used to achieve a goal. And so the first time I posted a coin on Zora, a piece of content on Zora, it was just a little picture. It was a piece of content that said, this business, doesn't accept credit cards because it's 5% fee for paying extra with credit cards. I said, what are coins even good for? And people were like, this is a meme. Like, Jesse, when are you creating the Telegram group? Update the DEX scanner. Like, where's the other content? And I was like, you guys, no. This is just a piece of content. Like, don't value it like a meme. It's a piece of content. The second time I posted a piece of content on Zora, they were like, Jesse, why are you rugging? You had another coin and now you have a second coin. And I was like, well, you guys, like, this is just another piece of content. I'm going to post 5 more pieces of content. And then we post 1,000 more pieces of content because content's an infinite game. And I want to keep playing because that's how content works. And there's a little bit of backlash. And then the 5th time I posted a piece of content on Zora, everyone had acclimatized to the new reality. And they said, oh, this is just a piece of content that Jesse's posting. And some of them are cooler and I want to collect them. And some of them aren't as cool and I don't want to collect them. And if you look at my collection of things I posted on Zora, they're varying degrees. Some are worth $1,000. Some are worth $3,000. Some are worth $7,000. Some are worth $10,000. The market is
That's like the
discovering.
market cap of these.
That's the market cap. Yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
that's how much they're valuing my piece of content at. And I own 1% of each of them. And the market's discovering what the value is. And then because there's a free market valuation of that content, we can actually use that to redirect the value back to the creator. In this case, it's me, but for all the other creators who are creating on Zora, it's them. And so we've gone through the last kind of 6 weeks of normalizing that with me. And then the next step was, okay, it's not just individuals who are creators, it's also brands who are creators. They're posting on Instagram, they're posting on TikTok. And Base has always been a leading brand in figuring out what does it mean to market on-chain. And so yesterday we continued posting content on Zora. We'd been posting content on Zora for the last 2 years. But this was the first time we posted content on Zora when Zora turned it into a coin. And the first piece of content, people were like, this is a piece of content. But again, they mapped, oh, this is a meme. And they got really excited. And the second piece of content, they were like, oh my God, it's actually just a piece of content. And the market re-equilibrated. And then we'll post a third piece of content, a fifth piece of content, a 10th piece of content. All of this will help normalize for creators that this is just a tool and that the market can actually engage with this content and the coin as a tool, value it appropriately, and then drive that value back to creators. And so that's what happened yesterday, and we're excited to keep pioneering and keep trying to figure out how can we give better tools into the hands of creators.
So you posted a diagram differentiating between content coin and meme coin, and like we can get into the specifics, but ultimately, like just to be honest on the post, I think it's hard to really draw the line. In the end, I think it matters what you were saying, kind of people understanding that coins are a technology that can be used for many different things. I think you're right to say, like sometimes a token will be a meme coin if the person launching it is, if that's what they intend to do, and sometimes it'll just be a piece of content posted on chain. And that's fine, and the market will decide the value for it. But I think there's something to be said about, in crypto, we know there are different like signals and nods. And so I think, the reason why some people were upset was kind of the official Base Twitter like tweet to the coin, and just like the expectation that that was the Base token. Do you think that there could have been, just maybe that communicating about content coins should come with a different set of signals? Like meme coins are usually communicated in a certain way, and people come to expect a certain kind of behavior, like you were saying, a Telegram group, deck screener, like all these things. But maybe content coins are a different animal, and so they should have like different signals with them.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I do think that this difference between meme coins and content coins, A, it's blurry and we're still trying to figure out. And B, I actually think in most cases, it's less technical difference and more a cultural contextual difference.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point. And we're still figuring out how do we set that right cultural context. And one way that I think we can set that context is where you create, right? If you're creating on Pump, you're probably launching a meme coin. If you're creating on Zora, Zora is not a meme coin launcher. It's a piece, it's a content. It's always been a social network. And so if you're posting on Zora, you can say we're posting content. You can also just say this explicitly. And this is exactly what we did with Base. A, I've been talking about this difference for the last 6 weeks, and Base has been sharing it and retweeting it and all those things. B, if you go and look at the post, it literally says, this is a content coin. Collect this for fun, not for profit. This is not an official network token. Anyone who was looking at the post would clearly see this is what it is. And so I think that crypto Twitter likes to make noise about a lot of things, but I just want to be abundantly clear. This was created on a platform where it was a content context, and it was created with tons of disclaimers about how this was a piece of content. Now, if I could go back and do it again, I would say Base probably could have done another tweet before we posted it. That was like, we're going to do more content on chain. We've been creating on Zora for a long time. And so I think we kind of thought, oh, this is just the next one. But I think we could have said, hey, we're going to do a bunch of content on chain. We're going to drop one, and then we're going to drop another, and then we're going to drop a fifth. And that might have set a better expectation. And that's definitely a learning, and that's on me. But I also think that, if this is the experience that I had for the last 6 weeks of getting people to yell at me personally for creating content, and this is the experience that Base had for the last 24 hours, imagine if you're just an everyday creator. Like, how bad would your experience be? You have no power. You have no platform. and you have people yelling at you in your DMs because they misunderstand what you're doing, that's a really, really, really bad experience. And so one of the ways I look at what Base is doing and what I've been doing is we're trying to re-norm and create psychological safety for creators to come on and use these technologies, because we believe that technology can be fundamentally good for enabling them to capture the value of their creativity, to earn more money from it, and to more directly connect with their fans. And I think that that is going to be a little bit messy because we do have to do this cultural resetting. But at the end of the day, I think it's up to people like me and Base who have a platform and who actually have the safety to do this, to kind of show people, yeah, this is safe. You can coin. And if you look at the data, what's happened after Base did this is that thousands of creators have come on chain and started bringing their creativity on chain. A lot of people have started coining because they're saying, oh, if Base can do it, this is safe for me. And then they're making more money from it. And that's a good thing. And just to make this kind of personal about you, is like, if Defiant coined their videos on Zora, I bet they would be worth something. And maybe they'd be worth $5, maybe they'd be worth $1,000, but someone would probably be interested in collecting them. And then the market would find the price and you guys would make some money. And, you tell me, but I would look at that and I'd be like, clearly that's content. Like, you posting this video of me and you having a conversation is not a meme. It's just a piece of content. And so I think that renorming and the resetting, oh, this is a technology, it's going to be used in different contexts, and we need to accept and embrace that, because that's how we get to this next wave of adoption. That's what we're going through right now. It's really, really important. It's a little bit messy. There's always more learnings, but I'm excited to push through and get to the other side.
Super interesting. By the way, I love how you're using coin as a verb. I'm going to start doing that as well.
Yeah, well, that's not even a thing that we invented, right? Like, you coin a phrase. Literally, that's been in the vernacular of the English language forever. But it just so happens that it also maps perfectly to what we're doing on chain right now. And, the crazy thing is, you have all this noise on Twitter, but now every single tweet that I make and every single tweet that Base makes, people are in my replies saying, coin it. Coin it, coin it, because people, they want to participate. They're starting to realize, oh, this is a new way that the creator economy can work, and we want to participate. And some people, they want to participate just by collecting, and maybe they'll collect 5 cents, and if it goes to 0, it doesn't matter. But if it goes 100x, that's great and it's fun, and it funds their collecting for the next little while. And then some people want to trade because they're traders and they're going to just trade. And having both of those different segments, both of those different audiences, and a healthy balance, and then a market structure that actually enables that balance to work, that's what we're trying to figure out how to do. And that's what I'm really excited about starting to see emerge on Base and Zora.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the buyer, because I think from the selling, the issuer standpoint, it's clear to me kind of why you would want to do that as a creator. Yeah. You have your content on chain, you can earn some money with it. It's not platform dependent. You can take these tokens wherever. So that's pretty cool. But why would somebody want to buy these tokens?
Yeah. So in this, Jacob, who's the creator of Zora, inventor of Zora, has a great philosophy on this, which is this idea of free but valuable, which is that historically the way content's been monetized is through like IP systems. But what we've seen in kind of emerging on the internet over the last 5 years with crypto is much more a move towards like CCO, Creative Commons licensing, free, because what people are realizing is that if you let something be free, it can proliferate more. And then on-chain and coins can form as a way of kind of manifesting that attention value into monetary value. And this is what memes are doing, right? They're saying, hey, there's this idea, and then just the pure existence of a coin that maps to that idea that has sufficient provenance can manifest that value. People will trade it, and that will create the market, and that will create the value. Now, in terms of how that applies to content, what I'm seeing, and I'm trading, I'm using Zora every single day, and I don't trade, I just buy. I haven't sold anything I've ever bought on Base, so just buy. Because I kind of think about it as a way of supporting creators and investing in the creative economy. But what I'm seeing from being in Zora every single day is that there's really 2 archetypes of people who are on Zora right now. One is what I think about as a collector, which is kind of the same as an NFT open edition collector, right? They're scrolling their feed, they're watching content, and then if they see a piece of content that they resonate with from a creator that they resonate with, they buy a small amount. And a lot of people are buying like 2 cents or 5 cents or 10 cents. I think the default on Zora is 0.0001 ETH or 0.00011, which is like 15 cents right now. And they double tap, they collect it. It has some sentimental meaning to them, kind of like a sticker. and then they move on with their day. And they like keep scrolling, and then the next time they see something they like, they double click it and collect it. And that's the way it worked with open edition NFTs too, right? Like you probably collected on pods or something like that, an open edition NFT. And even those open edition NFTs, they also actually had a secondary market. Like theoretically, you could go and sell that open edition NFT. But the reality is that it wasn't a liquid second market because of the NFT structure. And so the really cool thing about this new model is that collector who's just tapping, they get 15 cents. Most of that is going to just be flat. A bunch of it is also probably going to go to zero. But if 15 cents goes to 0 cents or 1 cent, people don't care. They collected it for sentimental reasons. But some of the content will go viral. And then it will go from a $22 market cap to a $22,000 market cap. And that 10 cents will 1,000x from 10 cents into $100. And then that will fund their collecting for the next while. And it'll be this like, oh, that's cool. This is fun. I collected this thing, and 1 out of 100 of the things that I bought had asymmetric upside. I earned from it, and now I can do more collecting. And that's a positive sum behavior that reinforces and creates a little virality for my collecting behavior. So that's the first archetype. And if you look at the kind of flow of activity on Zora, that's a big number of people with a small amount of purchasing power per post. That's the first archetype. The second archetype of people who are on there are traders who are basically looking at the content and looking at signals around the content, social signals, the actual content itself, and then trying to make a trading decision about, do they think it will go up in value? And that is, how do you know whether it's going to go up in value? Well, is it going to get more attention? Are people going to like it? Are more people going to buy it? Are there going to be more collectors who want to participate in? Every single one of those collectors actually sends like a little ripple effect out through the on-chain economy, because even if they're buying 10 cents, it bumps it up in Dex Screener, and it bumps it up in Interface, and it shows, oh, now there's more holders. And so traders are looking at that and trying to determine, okay, is this going to go up and down? And then they're placing larger capital bets on that question. And if you don't have organic activity, you're not going to have a good trading environment, right? Because then it's just going to be traders PvPing each other. But I think the beautiful thing that Zora is starting to do is, because there are these two sides of the market, where you have some people who are organically just interested in participating and consuming the content, and then people who are basically trying to figure out how do they trade that attention. You actually have a really, I think, like alive and rich capital market that's starting to form around content in a way that I think is kind of differentiated from everywhere else.
So it really is the expectation that this thing might go viral, get more attention, and more people will buy it. And yeah, there's the mix of like collecting and like the speculative aspect of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not just the expectation. It's a mix of all these things. Some of it's future expectation of it going viral. Some of it's that I just like this thing. Some of it's that I think my friends might like it and I want to send it to them. Why do you like a video on TikTok and like it? It's the same question. And you could even imagine a future where, as this behavior becomes more and more normal, right now we tap the like button on TikTok, and that gives a signal to TikTok that it's more economically valuable. And that actually costs something. Like, someone has to process that compute. In the future, it could be that when you tap your like button, and this is the way it works on Zora, it's a cent. And for you, it doesn't matter. Like, you could tap 100 like buttons and it'll be 100 cents. And for most people, they'll never think twice. And some of them will 100 or 1,000x, and then they'll make their little spending bounce back. But from a user experience perspective, it could feel totally the same. And so I think that that's exactly what we're trying to figure out right now, is like, how do these different economic primitives come together with the user experience primitives, with this new kind of market and the actors like creators, collectors, and traders, to create something that works better than the Web2 creator economy.
So yeah, it's all about creating a new model, a way of interacting with content and with the web. So like changing, double tapping or liking something with buying, and that can be a cent, so it doesn't have to be meaningful, but even those buys add up and create a ripple effect, like you said, and there will be speculators, so it might make something go viral. And maybe we need another word for viral that includes kind of the trading aspect. I don't know what that can be.
Yeah.
But okay, and then lastly, you've kind of highlighted Zora a lot, and I know Coinbase is an investor. Are there, like, what other platforms are there, or is Zora like genuinely kind of the main one doing this?
No, this is just happening on Zora because Zora has been kind of like on the base side first to embrace coins as a new primitive. Of course, Pump on the Solana side has been doing stuff with coins. Although I don't think, I was getting scolded yesterday by the CEO of Pump for like doing coins wrong, or whatever. Alan saying, don't do coins this way. I'm like, yeah, come on, guys. Like, we're trying to innovate. Like, there's no monopoly. I think people on maybe Ethereum would have said, don't do coins like Pump 6 months ago. Like, we're all trying to figure out how this stuff works and how we can make it work better for creators. And I think if you look at the base economy right now, one of the really powerful things is that there's a ton of creator tools happening for creators on base. So Farcaster obviously is a big one. I'm doing an AMA on Farcaster right now. It's text-based. It doesn't have coins built in. It basically feels like Twitter, but all of these mini apps built in. We just announced that new Coinbase wallet is going to natively integrate Farcaster with the full feed with mini apps. And so there's going to be more distribution coming to that feed. A lot of the Zora posts are going viral in Farcaster right now. And people are buying that coin in the feed, kind of creating a viral feedback loop. You have things like Rodeo, which are doing NFTs, open edition, but are doing a really great job onboarding new creators. You have folks on the coin side, like Clanker, who've been thinking more about kind of project coins and longer term ones. Klyza, similarly, Ape. There's a ton of people who are kind of in this creative milieu right now on base, trying to figure out how do we bring these primitives together with the right go-to-market strategies, with the right product experiences to build a better creative economy. And if you look at the reality today, less than 1% of the world is on chain. And so we're not going to get there if we just keep doing the same stuff. We got to do new things. We got to experiment. We got to learn. And sometimes that's scary. Sometimes people think it's dumb. But if I could model one thing for the base ecosystem, it would be like, don't be afraid to experiment and be out in the open and do things that feel a little crazy, because that's how we learn. And action produces information. And the faster we can learn, the faster we can gather that information, the better we're going to be able to build these products that can actually achieve our end goal, which is building a global on-chain economy that's going to massively increase innovation, creativity, and freedom.
Awesome, Jesse. I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I think it's super interesting to experiment in this space. I agree that the creator economy is broken, and I think it definitely makes sense to find ways in which crypto can fix it. And yeah, maybe this is a way to do that, or
yeah, I
at
love it.
least a
Well,
start.
you should consider if you want to coin this on Zora. It's fun,
Yeah.
it's easy, it's safe, it's a fun experiment. You might see what happens. Cool,
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
think that
Camilla.
we will do
Appreciate it.
that. Thank you so much.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.